The Clare County Championship, the semi-finals are on this weekend. Ballyea, we're going to be without Tony Kelly. He got surgery, and as far as I know, he's in a boot. He's going to be gone for the foreseeable future. Ballyea up against Newmarket-On-Fergus, and the other semi-final, really tasty, Inagh-Kilnamona against Eire Og Ennis. I'm sure a lot of people saw Inagh-Kilnamona beat Cratloe on TV just a couple of weeks ago. That was an excellent game. But starting off with Ballyea against Newmarket-On-Fergus, I think Colin Ryan, he's been doing pretty well this year again. Obviously, 2013, I think highest championship scorer in one season at the time, and didn't get an All-Star for it, which I thought was very harsh.
Yeah, that was mad. It's good to see that he's still going strong with his club. These lads obviously disappear maybe off the national radar when they finish up with their county, but he's still going strong. What is it, 8 years after winning All-Ireland? He was a brilliant player underage. I remember he killed us when we played Flannans in a college semi-final. He killed us before. Really, really good player. The interesting thing, I want you to pick your brain on this. Ballyea without Tony Kelly, obviously, got them over the line the last day. Like, if you were to put a number on what Tony Kelly is worth to Ballyea, I'll put it to you this way. How many points worse off do you think Ballyea are without him, if you could put a figure on it? I kind of have something in my head. What would it be for you? If you're to say they're starting minus something because Tony Kelly is not playing, what would it be?
Oh, there's probably 5 or 6 points, really.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking. Yeah, 5 or 6, and that's a lot. Like,
Didn't he come on and dig him out of it the last day? You know,
yeah.
Because they were struggling. He obviously wasn't right with the ankles, having to get the ankle surgery. He came on against Kilmaley, and it kind of helped change the game. Like, if you run through their championship this year, they beat Broadford. They beat Broadford the first day out. Then they saw off Crusheen pretty handily. Then they drew with Cratloe. Then later on beat Kilmaley 17 points to 16. Now Newmarket-On-Fergus, looking at their group, let me just see how they did in their group. They topped the group with Eire Og Ennis, Fecal and Clooney Quinn, which, you know, is no mean feat either. But yeah, I'd be tending to agree with you, because, like, I know they've got the likes of Niall Deasy to hit frees, but, like, it's great to have Tony Kelly there, and just the speed he has. The other team doesn't have to plan half as much about you. They can nearly be making as many plans for what they're going to do, because they know that Tony Kelly won't be on the field.
And they'll be thinking, if we can tie down Niall Deasy or maybe Gary Brennan, if he's out around the middle of the field, if we can tie down either of these two, we have a massive chance of winning. Whereas, you know, potentially they could tie down Tony Kelly to some extent. He could still end up with 3 or 4 points, and it would release Niall Deasy or Gary Brennan or whoever to excel. So I think it would be different for Ballyea if they'd won the quarter final without Kelly and had that, you know, we can win a knockout game without him. Whereas coming into this game, he's obviously not going to feature in this game at all. It makes it very intriguing. Like, they could still potentially get to a final. It's a tough game to call. Like Ballyea still have loads of class all over the pitch. Still have Jack Brown probably at the spine of their defence. Still going to have Paul Flanagan probably at the edge of the square as well. Like, still lots of big names that can carry them through. Obviously missing the biggest name. But, like, if you were to say Ballyea and Newmarket were meeting in a semi-final at the start of the year, you'd probably be fancying Ballyea to come through. The caveat, obviously, is that they're going to be missing their best player. So it makes it a difficult game to call.
Yeah, Paul Flanagan has obviously really established himself this year with Clare. He's going to be an important player. Might be matched up with Colin Guilfoyle. Enda Barrett, he'll probably be centre back for Newmarket. Another one of those stalwarts who would have won an under-21 All-Ireland back in 2009. Probably in and out of the panel. James McInerney, he's still playing with them. Might match up with Niall Deasy. Memory of James McInerney, obviously a good full-back. Was it a red card against Galway in 2011, 2012? Might have been either the start of Davies' tenure or the end of Sparrows.
Rings a bell. I think he won a puck fodder, you know. He was playing for Flannans that day in 2005 when we played them in Inagh, actually. I'll just say about that as well. It's in Inagh, a great venue for those kind of tighter kind of, like, it's real. They're real in on top of you. I just love that. I love it even for league games. We played tip.
They say it as Nana.
Yeah, Nana. McDonough Park, isn't it? McDonough Park in Nana. Yeah. But McInerney must be 34, 35 as well. So the age profile of some of their big men, McInerney, Enda Barrett and Colin Ryan, would be mid to late 30s anyway. Some of them would be. So Ballyea be a lot younger. Niall Deasy wouldn't be anything like that. Nor would Flanagan or Jack Brown or Gary Brennan be about 32 as well. I probably still would be fancying Ballyea just to come through.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the winner is going to come from the other semi-final, the overall winner, Inagh-Kilnamona. mean, they were very good against Cratloe. Once they kind of absorbed the early storm from Cratloe, and Podge Collins obviously hit the crossbar, came out, and Josh Guyler scored a goal up the other end. He ended up with 1-4, I think. Aidan McCarthy, he has a sort of a free role to some degree. His brother Jason, really, really good at centre-back. And then Davy Fitzgerald is arguably the Clare Club Player of the Year on form at the moment. There's one or two others that'll be in there, but they have a lot of threats. So there's going to be pressure on the likes of Liam Corrie, Aaron Fitz. Danny Russell's going to need to come up with a few scores. Shane O'Donnell is hopefully at 100%, and David Reedy. So you can see we've named a lot of players there. There's a lot of quality on show in this semi-final.
Yeah, no, that's a quality semi-final. And definitely the pick of the two, you would say anyway. Eire Og, I think, are already in a football final. They have a load of guys playing dual. Gavin Cooney, David Reedy be playing as well. Just see imagine Mark and David Reedy in a football field. It'd be an absolute nightmare, just buzzing around everywhere. It's good to see O'Donnell back 100% fit, and he's probably absolutely mad for road as well. Having missed so much of the year. So he's probably fresher than he would normally be coming into a club season, which means Eire Og might get a bounce from that maybe that they wouldn't normally, where he could be coming in fatigued from a county season. Fascinating game. David Fitzgerald is an interesting one as well. Tends to can kind of play that kind of looser, kind of floating role as well. He's the sort of player that you just can't let float around and pick up a load of ball, because he can hurt you. He'll pick, if he's not marked tight, probably with someone tracking him closely, he'll be running off the shoulder guys the whole time. And once he's in that position and it's built up a head of steam, you won't be stopping him. So you need a bit of a misery guts to be picking him up and stopping him from making those runs, checking him, and not letting him get into the game, because if he gets into the game like he did the last day, Ennis will be in a bit of trouble. But I like Eire Og in this game, I have to say. They've really put up to 6 Mile Bridge the last couple of years. We're probably unlucky last year. I think there was only a point in it. They really put them to the sword last day. And I know the Bridge were missing a couple of lads, and maybe Cottle Malone and Jamie Shanahan were just back, having missed a bit of time. But they really put them to the sword impressively, I'd have to say.
I am just about going with Eire Og Kilnamona here, and maybe that's because I saw them on TV, and I can see the threat of Aidan McCarthy, who I think can become one of the top players in Ireland, assuming that Clare continue to kick on under Brian Lohan. And I look at Davy Fitz, and I think sometimes with his pace, the fact that he's hurling now, he's a little bit inconsistent, and he's in and out of the Clare team. But sometimes he does stuff, and I'm like, geez, that's a bit Austin Gleeson-ish, isn't it? I'm not saying he has the same natural flicks and all the tricks and all that kind of stuff.
He's got the catch of him at times, definitely,
At times, yeah. It's so that's a very high compliment. But I think there's so much more you could get out of him. And if you got Aidan McCarthy and Davy Fitz and keep Tony Kelly flying for the next few years, and Shane O'Donnell starts next season like he would have played in years gone by, and Peter Duggan hits the ground running, you wouldn't be feeling you wouldn't be poor Mountain Clare next year.
No, they're the potential bolter next year, you'd have to say. They're the team that could not, they wouldn't be coming from nowhere. They'd be coming from, they've, as you said, they've an awful lot of really good players. You get Peter Duggan back involved as well, maybe too. It's a big thing is just making sure that Tony Kelly is fit come championship time next year. And it looks like he's made a decision that will make sure that he is in good shape and that he's not going to be hobbling around, and Ballyea going on a club run and him being, risking the possibility of missing championship next year. I'd be quietly confident. The fact that the Lohan decision was over the line quite soon, and even the development plan or the strategic plan that was put in place in Clare, definitely looks like things are starting to move a bit there. Now, there's probably a lot of other things need to happen in order for them to reach their potential on and off the pitch, but there's definitely signs would suggest that at least the wheel is turning anyway.
Yeah, ST says, would love to see Davy take on Westmeath. There's been a serious improvement in the standard of hurling in Westmeath over the last decade. It's a county in need of taking the next step. But Joe Fortune has been appointed as manager, so he deserves every chance there, and hopefully he has a good tenure.
Flew under the radar a bit, Shane, didn't it? Joe Fortune's one, yeah.
Declan O'Keefe says, fair sickener for Ballyea to lose Kelly. For Clare, he's up to a 10-point loss in scores and assists. For Ballyea, he's probably a 15-point loss. So he's obviously saying he's even more important than we're suggesting. But and if you were to talk about games like that Munster game against Thurles a few years back, then you'd be saying, okay, yeah, maybe he is worth up to that much.
Yeah, I suppose a lot of it, I'm thinking, sometimes it can be masked with maybe, frees that he's taken or that. I'm just trying, I'm thinking, He's going to get 3 or 4 from play. He's going to win at least a handful of frees as well. I think 5 or 6 is a decent. If Ballyea are able to get to a county final without him, it'd be a fair statement, and they'd be hard beaten in a final if they've gotten that far without him.
If you enjoyed this piece of content, please follow us on YouTube by hitting the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner of the page, which helps the channel grow. And if you want audio podcasts, go to patreon.com/ourgame.